All humans are concerned about why we age and die, but for centuries there's been nothing we could do about it. Today, advances in biology have brought us to a deeper understanding of the processes that cause aging and eventually result in death, raising the prospect of extending our lifespan to close to our natural limit of over 100 years, or even extending it beyond that. That would require profound changes to our societies, perhaps on a par with other advances like AI and genome modification. At the same time, tens of billions of dollars have been invested into anti-aging research, much of it coming from tech billionaires. Apart from serious progress, there are dubious claims not only about what is possible, but also about what remedies we should take to slow down aging. I wanted to cut through the hype and take a hard look at what we know and where we're headed, as well as what we need to think about when we get there. The causes of aging are intimately connected with almost every biological process in our body, from our genes to the proteins they encode and how they affect cells and their ability to function as part of an entire animal. Because aging is so complex, it's unlikely that there'll be a single magic bullet that tackles it. Currently, many serious aging researchers want to improve our health span, which is the fraction of our lives that we remain healthy and free of some of the decrepitudes of old age. Living beyond the current record of longevity of about 120 years will require major breakthroughs. While we wait for the vast anti-aging enterprise to make progress, there are some simple things we can do to stay healthy as we age. And much of this is age-old advice that is surprisingly consistent with what we're learning from advances in biology. Humans have wondered about aging and death ever since we became aware of our mortality, but for the first time we may be in a position to do something about it. We need to be aware of what the possibilities are, and we need to make sure that any new advances are beneficial to us and to society as a whole. Just as we're concerned about where AI or genome editing is taking us, we need to be aware of what changing our longevity will do. It has the potential to create great inequalities as well as change humanity, not necessarily for the better. Why We Die is an effort to help us both understand and think about these issues. Although aging and death are considered inevitable, some species can live for hundreds of years. And even more surprisingly, not all species age. Some small freshwater organisms like hydra show no signs of aging. They constantly regenerate themselves. This doesn't mean they live forever, because they can die of other causes such as disease or predation or starvation. Others, like a species of jellyfish, can actually age backwards by metamorphosing back to an earlier stage of their development. This is like a butterfly being able to change back to a caterpillar. We actually live twice as long as people did about 100 years ago. Although there's a huge amount of hype in aging research, we could see people routinely expecting to live beyond 100 years. Today, living beyond 110 years appears to be a matter of genetics and much more difficult to achieve, and no human has lived beyond 122 years. However, we cannot rule out more dramatic breakthroughs in the more distant future that might allow us to break this barrier and live much longer. There are straightforward ways for us to stay healthy and fit as we age. Based on the latest advances in biology, which are the result of billions of dollars of research funding as well as private investment in biotech, some people have rushed to advocate or even take treatments that have not yet been validated in human trials and whose long-term effectiveness and safety have yet to be established. However, as I explain in the book, those same advances in biology actually also validate age-old advice such as a good diet, exercise, and sleep. These currently work better than any anti-aging medicine on the market. They cost nothing and have no side effects. Aging is the result of accumulated chemical damage to our molecules and cells. It starts gradually with damage to the key molecules of life, such as our DNA or proteins, which result in small defects. Sometimes these defects are important. The accumulation of these defects lead to consequences for our cells and tissues that manifest as the morbidities of old age. As these consequences build up, there's eventually a system-wide failure when critical organs can no longer function, which eventually leads to death. So aging is intimately connected with every biological process in our body, from our genes to the proteins they encode and how they affect cells and their ability to function as part of an entire animal. When we die, most of our cells are still alive. Even entire organs are still functional and alive and can be donated to others for transplants. We die at the moment when our component parts can no longer work together as an organic whole to allow us to function as an individual. In most of us, this is when our heart or brain or some organ critical for the entire body stops working. In this way, our death as individuals is not fundamentally different from the death of cells or tissues or bodies or even companies or cities or entire societies or nations.